Oh, goody.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Zombies here again, and today we're back with another Marvel Snap video. So today we're doing something a little different. I wanted to talk to you all about this week's Spotlight caches and why, in my opinion, they are the best week to cash in on for, I think, the majority of the player base. Now, if you already own both of these cards, maybe you want to reconsider. Obviously, one card is new, X23, so nobody will have that the second it comes out, unless you're buying it with tokens. But the other two cards, Silk and Nebula, I think are really, really great cards. Especially Silk has been having a ton of really good performances recently in a variety of decks. One of the decks which a lot of people are considering to be one of the best in the game right now. So I think this is the week you want to be capitalizing on your Spotlight caches. So we're going to talk about these cards a little bit, going to show some decks for them, and for X23 I'll be having a bit more extensive deep dive into the decks later on tonight for some day one deck content. Also, real quick, do want to show the variants here. These are the Spotlight variants, so if you already do own Nebula or Silk, or if you buy X23 and you want to go after her variant, these are the ones that are available this week. We have a Mech X23, we have a Chibi Nebula from Rian Gonzalez. That one looks really nice. I'm hoping to get that myself. And then the last but not least, we have a really good looking Silk variant too. Now, I think for a lot of the player base, a lot of people are missing Silk. Not too many people got her on release. They thought she was either overhyped or just not really worth 6k tokens. 6k tokens is a lot to invest in a card, especially when some cards are releasing in Series 4, so I can definitely understand why not everyone dove to get her on release, as she did take a while before she started to find a home. Now let's talk a little bit about the cards themselves though. We'll start off with Nebula. Nebula was a season pass card a few months ago during the Guardians of the Galaxy season, and is pretty inarguably one of the most powerful one-drops in the game. She absolutely dominated the season she came out, and she has started to see a bit less play recently, mainly because of another really powerful one-drop, Kitty Pryde, being kind of like the ultimate counter to Nebula, being able to play into the Nebula lane each turn. But even with that counter being pretty popular, Nebula is still really, really strong one-drop, especially because even if it only gets one activation off, you're having premium stats for a one-drop at 3 power, and then anything else is just gravy. Even if you don't get direct value out of your Nebula, you are getting value out of the card because you're forcing your opponent to play into the Nebula, which is likely disrupting how they would want to play out their cards across the board otherwise. Nebula has found a lot of homes, but the one we're going to be featuring here is the High Evolutionary deck with her that leans on powerful one-drops such as her and Sunspot, and the High Evolutionary package, in addition to the recently buffed Magic and everyone's favorite party pooper Leech, to turn off whatever crazy effects your opponents might have going into the late game, and then closing out the game with both Hulk and She-Hulk. This deck also has some really powerful tools to stop opponents' interaction with Armor and Cosmo, and guarantee that our big things stay big and safe. Moving on to Silk, this is a card that became popular in recent weeks thanks to mainly Lambie series, who brewed up a really, really powerful and interesting deck utilizing a bunch of move cards. Most notably, the recently reworked Spider-Man has finally let Kraven have a bit of time in the sun, as now we have kind of a critical mass of move effects to buff him up quite a bit throughout the course of the game. Silk is going to naturally be doing that as she moves around a lot during each turn, pumping up the Kraven and keeping your opponent guessing on where you're going to be playing. And we have Captain Marvel, who can move at the end of the game or get into a otherwise closed down location. Miles Morales is a bit of payoff for all of our stuff moving around. Kitty Pryde being one of the best one-drops in the game and pumping up one of the best two-drops, Angela, alongside Jeff, another absolutely core move staple, and making use of the other recently released Series 4 card, Legion, to put your opponent in some sticky situations regarding locations. We also packed Chavez for a bit of early game consistency, as this deck really values getting its early game cards in the beginning, especially Kitty Pryde, Shang-Chi for a bit of interaction, and Vision for some added movement flexibility. There's actually a slightly different version of this deck that I'm really excited to share with everyone this week, in the hopes of bringing back one of my favorite cards, Arrow, but more on that a little bit later in the week. This deck is not only super powerful, but really fun to play and hard to master, so if you value decks that have a high skill cap, this is definitely going to be right up your alley. And last but certainly not least is our new card of the week, X23. I think most people can agree that this is the most hyped card of the month. A lot of people are really excited about this. Destroy has been a super popular archetype among players for as long as Marvel Snap has existed, and this new tool adding another Destroy fodder that can help ramp out powerful cards such as Nimrod and Null seems to be a great addition to the Destroy deck. Destroy Thanos has been the most popular version of Destroy by far, so that's where we're going to be trying out X23 as an additional time stone in a way, as long as we can get her destroyed when we need her to, and the fact that she repopulates on the board is a nice addition too, as it gives us more fuel to keep destroying our stuff, to keep pumping our null, and reducing our death. The other great thing about X23 is she helps us ramp out some powerful cards. Nimrod is going to be one of the main focuses here, as ramping out Nimrod on turn 4 allows you to be able to blow him up a lot more times, which is really, really nice for this kind of deck. And it also allows us to ramp out some powerful 6-drops, such as Null or our Thanos. Taking a look at our Thanos Destroy deck here, we have all the usual suspects, all the Destroy cards you could want, and Carnage, Venom, Deathlock, and Killmonger as our primary ways of destroying cards. Shang-Chi also helping in destroying opponents' cards, which can feed up our Null. Nimrod acting as a really, really powerful payoff, and one that is really hard for the opponents to deal with a lot of the time, spreading 6 power throughout the board and getting a boost from X23, potentially ramping him out a turn earlier. Yondu not only can mill a key card from the opponent, but add some more fuel to our Null, as well as giving us more Destroy fodder for our Carnage, Killmonger, Deathlock, and Venom. Death is our main payoff here, getting really reduced from us blowing up all of our cheap stuff, particularly the Thanos stones, and the stones are really good versatility, helping you leverage the mid game with their powerful effects and drawing through your deck, as well as giving you additional Destroy fodder. I think it will take some time after this card releases to really figure out the best version of Thanos Destroy with this card, but I think at the very least, this is a super solid starting point. And there we have it. Those are the cards and the decks that I think you should be cashing in on this week with your Spotlight caches. Now, I do always recommend taking a look at what is in store in the future, as what people want and what's good for each player may vary due to the nature of the unique collections in this game. I'll have a link in the description below if you want to check out the other Spotlights coming up the following week, as well as some of the information we have about the Spotlights coming in September. But I know for me, I'm definitely going to be pulling this week, as not only do I think the cards are really great, but also really like the variants. That's going to wrap it up for this one though. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. Trying out a new thumbnail style, so I'd love to hear about that as well. But hope you enjoyed it. If you did, remember to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.